here at the beach, Town Beach, and let's see what it's all about.
I teach Tantric Hatha. So my teacher is Octavio Salvado from the practice in Bali, and his teacher's Rod Stryker, and I've been studying with Rod Stryker as well for the last couple of years, going to trainings with him and working towards my para yoga master training. Usually fairly simple postures, nothing too hectic, a mixture of dynamic and static. But the really interesting work is done with the breath and with a lot more of internal visualizations. We use a lot of the bandhas and the mudras, the more kind of subtle aspects of the practice, so energy, gestures and seals within the body. And we direct energy in a very specific way for particular outcomes. And it's the same with the way we sequence even the postures. It's not just a matter of like, oh yeah, that pose flows in nicely with this pose and then that flows nicely into that pose. Each class is structured and designed in a way depending on what the outcome we want. So if we want to build a lot of calmness and stability, then we'd work primarily with forward folds and twists. If we're wanting more vitality and expansion, it'd be laterals and back bends. So today's class is going to be around dispelling fear and building courage. So there's this great quote that I read a while ago that said, "Fear is the picket fence around your comfort zone." While doubt, on the other hand, is completely self-created. So while we might be scared of what's outside of what we're familiar with, it's the doubt is something that we create ourselves. We might have that fear, but then we doubt ourselves to be able to expand past that point. So this practice is going to work primarily on the navel centre. Tantric Hatha has three areas where we primarily work with. We work with the navel centre, the heart centre and the third eye. And this is primarily to bring energy into the spinal channel. But the navel is a really fantastic place to create more will and determination, more courage and strength. And the reason for that is said that we have fire in our belly, Agni. So we can build the fire by the way that we direct the breath. And that's what we're going to be doing today, directing the breath in a particular way so that we bring more prana to the navel centre, create more fire, burn out the denseness of the lower three chakras. The thing about the tantric practices are that they're very subtle. A lot of it's internal. It's not stuff that you can see from the outside. It looks like a normal yoga class, but it's the internal alchemy that we're working with these visualizations and kriyas. So anything that I teach, like I teach different types of classes. I work in a little studio here in Exmouth called Hala Yoga Studio, which is run by a beautiful Chilean woman, Maria, and I teach a variety of classes there, Tantric Hatha being one of them. But I also teach a restorative Hatha class with Yoga Nidra and an Ashtanga Hatha class, but they're all Tantric at the end of the day. The restorative class is still, this way I sequence it, is still informed by Tantra. It's just basically forms the basis of the way I practice and the way I teach. And even the Ashtanga Hatha, which is it's basically a mix between Tantric Hatha and the Ashtanga system. It's a little bit more dynamic practice, but again, it's been sequenced in a tantric way so that there's a very specific energetic outcome at the end of it. For me, the yoga tradition is about meditation at the end of the day. So the postures are just about directing the energy in a way so that we can have an effective meditative practice. It's about that subtle transformative work. It's not about getting a tight ass or a tight bum or getting fit or any of that stuff. It's not about flowing between postures and building up a sweat. That's the last thing that yoga's about. It's about containing your energy, not releasing it.
Thank you, Cass, for doing the class. It was really nice.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. Now, can you tell me a bit more about yourself? Obviously, you're here in Exmouth, in this beautiful place. How long have you been up here for? And
I've been in Exmouth now, it'll be 15 years this year, so travelling through at the time and thought I'd stay for a couple of weeks, and that was 15 years later. I'm still here. And I've started teaching yoga in town probably about 5-6 years ago, I guess. I've been practicing for about 24 years. So I've got a business called Inner Power Yoga, which is primarily retreat business. So I do day retreats here in town, and I'm starting to run like week-long luxury retreats in Exmouth as well. as well as bespoke retreats. So people can come to me if they've got a group of friends and they want to have a retreat experience, but they don't necessarily want to be with a bunch of random strangers and they want to do their own type of activities. They can come to me. I can put together a whole package where there's, you know, accommodation. I'll bring somebody in to cook for them. We'll do classes, workshops, activities, whatever it is that they particularly want. So that's happening as well. And then I run retreats as well in Indonesia, in Bali and Lombok, in villages where I've got connections with the local people. So for me, it's partly about creating work for them. So I tend to work with either locally owned resorts or in very small villages where I know the people who manage it, and then I use the local drivers, local warungs, tour operators, all that type of thing, rather than doing it through the hotels, which is, it's more about putting money back into the community. Yeah. And I get to go and hang with my friends. So it's a bit of a win-win, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
For me, the yoga tradition is about meditation at the end of the day. It's about containing your energy, not releasing it.
The connection to your heart.
Connection to your heart, yeah. Connection to source, back to source, coming back to source. It's very much a spiritual practice, and that's the way I teach.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Thank you for having me.